All right, good. So, our next speaker, what can I say? He has over 20 years of experience in not one sector of business, but across many sectors, many industries, and many functions. He's currently on the board of directors for DSV, responsible not only for HR and finance, but also for IT functions. He has worked with both Fortune 500 companies as well as a number of listed Indian companies. And what I love about Rajesh is that he is completely up for learning. How do I know that? Well, he holds a master's degree in commerce. He holds a dual management degree in both finance and HR. He has a doctorate in management. And as if that wasn't enough, he's pursuing a master's degree in counseling and a diploma from ISTD. So please put all that energy into welcoming Rajesh Seshadri. Thank you.
Good afternoon, friends. Am I audible? That's good. I think she said a number of good things about me. My neighbor, I believe, was jealous. But it doesn't really matter because all these academics have no meaning, actually, except for what we undergo in our day-to-day life. And it's a long process of learning which never ends till the day we die. What I'm here of is, I'm probably, you can say, the odd man out in this conference, because I'm a kind of jack of multiple trades, but a master of none. So I do not profess to have any kind of expertise in any particular subject, but whatever little that I can share with you in terms of experience and in terms of bringing some different perspectives or insight, and maybe it could be of help to you. The topic that I have landed with is risk, which is not a topic, I would say, which is often covered in most of these conferences, not just in HR, but it is also very rare in finance. And since I wear two hats, I often get, I would say, the worst of both or the best of both. Everything could be looked at flip side or this side. This also could be an advantage or a disadvantage. But risk is certainly there, and some of these slides would actually be an eye-opener in terms of how it is an area that is often neglected. And what I've heard throughout the day and in many other conferences in the past is also about HR being a business partner. And I know that it has been a hot topic for a decade almost, if not more. It's been there for quite a long time. But trust me, friends, a decade ago, it was also in finance conferences that they used to say exactly the same thing. Why isn't finance part of the business? Both of these were looked at as support functions, just as IT is today, because this is not anything to do with IT. But all these support functions, how do they play a part? And of course, a lot of you who are already there, who have shared some insights as to how you could be an ideal business partner. I would say that today, if there is a CFO, you can't really look at him as a bean counter or as an accounting manager, but he is there maybe second to only the CEO, and that is where I believe HR should also be. It should be the right hand and left hand, and I can see no reason whatsoever why it should not happen in the years to come across all companies. So the topic here is about human factor based risk, and okay, what is risk? Fear of the unknown, okay. Is that risk? Not turning out the way you want. I think, yes, that's more spot on. Maybe, okay. In other words, you're saying we would lose something in the future. Okay. But risk is essentially a choice of an action or an inaction which will lead to an undesirable outcome. In other words, when we are looking at it from an organizational perspective, we all have choices, and as of today, compared to 30 years ago or 40 years ago or maybe 100 years ago, we have far too many choices. So if we have to buy a small car today, I guess it is not going to be a one-day decision, but you'll probably spend weeks investigating all the pros and cons. The more the choices, the greater the probability of a wrong decision and greater the probability of an undesirable outcome. And the risk today is far higher than what it was in the past. But of course, this means that it's a matter of choice. The risk exists, but it is only the choice that we make which will finally translate into what the outcome is. As for human factor risk, unfortunately, anything and everything to do with human beings, because like the gentleman said earlier, human resources is the only function which is human before it. So when we talk of human factor risk, anything to do with human beings is a human factor risk. Just to share something with you, which is from the Fortune 1000 companies survey in 2008, you would find that all the risks, the corporate risk areas which were looked at from 2 points of view. One is to see which of them have a high impact, and the other is to see which of them are likely to occur. Now, out of this survey of 1,000 companies, human factor risks are in the top 5. They are just about 10% lower than IT in terms of impact. So there is a 61% population in those 1,000 companies who feel that human resource risks would have an impact on the company bottom line. And the likelihood is, as you can see among these top 5, is the highest. Because all of you and all of us are probably dealing with not just the best resource, but the most difficult resource to manage. Taking you back in time, not too far beyond, but a little back in time, you're all aware of this completely. HR or personnel management or whatever it was called at that time was looked at purely from a transactional point of view. Everybody talks of transaction to transformation. Initially, there were only the basic employee services, which have now more or less been outsourced. Then there were all the headcount reports and the MIS and the basic managerial services that were required. That's been streamlined. Compliance, however, has not gone anywhere. It still resides within your purview, and I guess it will not go away. It is here for keeps. Meantime, all these made way for the new wave, I should say, of HR, where it was people, processes, and analysis, which again had various levels built in. Internal monitoring in terms of retention, engagement, movement, etc. External monitoring in terms of benchmarks, organizational comparisons. And the third being risk, an often neglected area. I would not say neglected, it's perhaps there in the back of our minds all the time. It's probably not analyzed, it is not put forth on the table, and it is not being discussed. And this risk is of course growing, as I told you, which in turn means that there are more compliance responsibilities on all of us. As far as the business concerned, because we're all talking about going from transactional to transformational. Now, as far as the business is concerned, level 1 has probably some impact. Level 2 has a little bit more impact. And risk, as I said, continues to grow. Now, when we look at this new dimension, or it's not a new dimension, but I would say the total dimension of HR, in terms of being transformational, in terms of being a business partner, what is looked at is understanding the key CEO challenges, because that's what we've all been saying, that's what the people in during the morning sessions have been saying. It is to identify what is it that the CEO feels is a challenge and to address those areas, which is being done with people's processes, analysis,